These principles are instrumental in improving your performance, not only for training, but also for your game, as there is a direct carryover between in-gym exercises and your swing. The components are the base, basically how you stand, the axis, meaning keeping your body straight and aligned, the core, using the core with all the exercises and all movement, and power flow, which means letting the forces flow through your system. All right, let's get to the base. How do we want to stand when we do exercises, or for that matter, during a dress position or any athletic position? I got my lovely wife Tina with me right here, and she's going to help me demonstrate. All right, so you want your feet to be about shoulder width apart, okay? From here, we want to make sure that the pressure on your feet is about 60% in the front and about 40% in the back. So you are a little bit on the balls of your feet. Only then can you use your feet in order to push off and produce some power. If you sit on your heel, it's very hard to turn, it's very hard to balance, and it's very hard to produce power. So a little bit in the front of your feet. Now also what we want to do is we want to make sure we bend our knees a little bit. So it should be a slight bend in your knees. Therefore, you can really feel the ground and your legs can be dynamic. And that's very important. Only if your legs are dynamic or if your knees are bent can you use your legs. And we know how much power we have in our legs, our quads, our hamstrings and our glutes. That's where all the power comes from, and that's how we stabilize. Tina, go ahead and straighten your legs all the way. Try to jump without bending your knees. That doesn't work. So that tells you the straighter the legs are, the less you get to use your legs. So we want to have a slight bend in our knees, slight bend, and right here you can really use your legs now. So from the side it would look like this. If you want to turn around, just look in this mirror right here. Again, good stance, bend your knees a little bit. Here we go, that's a good position. So you see, slight bend in your knees, a little bit more pressure on the front of the foot versus the heel. This is a good athletic position. That's where you want to be when you do any exercise, and even in a dress position, it's very similar to that. Good job. All right, the axis. The axis is very important that we keep the axis, that we have a straight axis, because it has a lot to do with control, but also with forces being able to flow and energy to transfer. So axis is very important also for injury prevention. The more you have your axis intact, the less different parts are moving, the less you have to coordinate different moving parts in your body, the less stress there is in the joints. So we got Tina again to help me demonstrate. All right, go ahead and stand in your good athletic stance. Knees are bent a little bit. So we want to make sure that the shoulders are right over the hips and right over the ankles. So Tina's watching herself in the mirror right now, and everything should be nice and aligned right here. So there shouldn't be any tilt to any direction, always nice and straight in both directions. Now if you turn around to the side, same from the side. We call this being stacked. Shoulder over your hips, over your ankle. So if I would draw a plumb line down here, it would go right through a shoulder, through the middle of her hips, into the ankle. This is a very powerful position right here. We're very strong in this position. That's how you want to work out. Of course, that reduces the stress throughout your body. Now also in that position, you can transfer power the easiest way. Of course, it doesn't have to go in different angles. It can go straight through your spine, either to the top or to the bottom. So very important. Go ahead and turn around. Now, this position probably was one of the best traits that Annika has in her swing. She's always connected, she's always straight, she's always within the axis. Now what you could do is you could picture yourself when you look in the mirror that you're inside a cylinder. Now inside a cylinder, you can do two things inside a cylinder. You can rotate inside a cylinder, or you can go up and down inside a cylinder. But you could not slide your hips, you could not dip your shoulder. You would hit the wall of a cylinder. So what you could do actually at home is, in front of a mirror, take some masking tape, put yourself a cylinder with two stripes about shoulder width on the mirror, and there you have your cylinder. When you do your exercises, do them within the parameter of those tapes. So you would rotate within those tapes. If you do a shoulder rotation, you stay within those tapes. You never lose your shoulder touching the tape or sliding your hip with rotational exercises. So Tina's gonna show a couple exercises right here. One is a dumbbell rotation. We'll start right here, come across. From here, come all the way up, full range of motion. And what we wanna see now is that there is no lean at all. Many times what we wanna do is we wanna compensate by leaning with our body. So if Tina would be leaning to the left, in order to compensate for this weight, obviously she would lose her axis. So that's why a lot of those exercises we do, we want to make sure we keep the axis. Use a mirror to make sure you keep the axis, because you may not know that you're leaning a little bit. Here we go, very good. And you will see throughout the DVDs and throughout all the workouts you do, we always refer to that, keep your axis and stay straight. Very good. Let me show you a different exercise. Let's go ahead and do a cable push right here. Here we go. So a cable push, it's an exercise where you have rotation in it. It's very similar to what's going on in the swing. We rotate through, and if a cable push, again, we want to make sure we stay within the axis. Now the whole axis might be moving from the right to the left, and that's just exactly what Annika has been doing in her swing. Her whole axis stays intact. It's just rotating to the right, intact axis, rotating to the left, intact axis. So there's no sliding and no bending, and that makes you very powerful, but also it's very easy that way to connect your body and stay at one unit. If you stay as one unit, it's much easier to control than different many parts moving, and especially in situations where if you're nervous, if you're under pressure, or it's very windy, if you have a swing that's very simple and just rotating around your axis, it's much easier. And the nicest thing about that is too, a lot less stress on your joints. Here we go, let's go ahead and do a couple of those rotations and all the way through. Here we go, release the right foot, all the way through. And again, here's her axis. It moves from the right side, a little bit to the left side. On the right side, to the left side, but the axis stays intact, which means she's not reaching forward or she's not hanging back. It's always within the cylinder. Very good. Another exercise you could do is, you can take a dumbbell, or you could do use a medicine ball, just hold that in front and do some rotations. Here we go. Your arms are in front from this position, rotate to your right, set up on your right side a little bit, rotate to the left. Here we go. Let's do the same thing again and add a finish to it, just like in the swing, and rotate through to your left. Go ahead and release your right foot all the way. Here we go. And again, set up, onto your right side, through to your left, all the way through. So you see, she's staying in the cylinder, the axis stays intact, you're just shifting from right to left, and that's what we want with all the exercises you do. All right, here's a big one, the core. Everybody talks about the core, everybody wants a six-pack, everybody wants to be strong. Here's what the core does for you. The core, all the muscles between the ribs and your pelvic floor. So it's rectus abdominis, it's external obliques, internal obliques, transverses, which run crisscross inside, as well as your extensors and your glutes. So very important, this is the middle of your body. Now the core, the main function is that it connects your lower body to your upper body. And that's very important. It's very easy for us to get strong in the lower body, strong in the upper body, but to connect the two is the hard part. So that's very important that we learn that. Also what the core does, it protects your back. And that's also very important, especially in golf. Of course, in golf, you're in a very vulnerable position, meaning you're leaning forward and you're adding rotation to it, and maybe you're adding some dipping to it if you don't have a very good swing. So there's a lot going on, and we need to protect that spine from injury, and that's what the core is for. Also what the core does, it compacts a lot of your organs on the inside. That would be very important for high-end athletes like sprinters and so on. They're usually very flat and very tight in their core, and we want to make sure we have a good power transfer from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top. For that, we also need the core. So, how do we engage the core? How do we use the core with our exercises and subsequently in the swing? What we want to do is we want to learn how to engage the core, and we want to do that with every single exercise, every single time. And that's very important. What you need to remember is, when I'm just standing here right now, the pressure on my spine is fairly minimal. As soon as I start lifting any of my limbs out of the center of my body, the pressure in the spine goes up almost exponentially. So if I go from here to here, there's probably twice as much pressure on my spine. If I go from here to here, it's almost 4 times. And that's just physics. I'm adding weight with some leverage against the spine. The spine has to support it. Now, if I can use the core to take that load off my spine, of course, that's very good, and it will protect my back. So we want to learn how to engage the core. What we do is, we'll take our belly button in our athletic stance, you pull your belly button in and up. Now that may feel a little bit funny at first, but you want to learn it and you will get comfortable with that over time. So you pull your belly button in and up, which means your hip will tilt underneath you a little bit, your glutes will get engaged a little bit, and now you have a good connection. Let's go ahead and show that, Tina. So from right here, good athletic stance. She's going to tuck her abs in and tilt the hips a little bit underneath. Here we go, and let go of it, and do it again. Very good. Let's show it from the side. It's probably easier to see. Here we go. Go ahead and put your arms a little bit forward. Here we go. So tuck your abs in, tilt your hips a little bit, and back. And tuck in, tilt your hips. Here we go, and back. So you see how the hips are tilting underneath, the glutes get engaged, and again, we know we want the glutes to be engaged because that's how you protect your back, and that's how you can get a lot of power, okay? So we want to do this again with every single exercise, every single time. Therefore, we're teaching our nervous system to do this automatically. You don't have to remind yourself anymore. Now, it might take 400 or 500 times, doesn't matter, you have quite some time to do this. So if you, let's say, work out 3 days a week, you do 10 exercises, times 3 sets, times 8 reps, that's about 750 exercises a week. 750 times, you're gonna engage your abs. At some point, this will be automatic. Basically, before you go home, or when you go home, you wanna open up a fridge, you reach out, you engage your core first. That's how automatic it should be. All right, we wanna do a couple exercises on the floor just to show you how to practice that. Tina, if you wanna go ahead and lay on your back. Okay, good. Arms are down, legs are down. Go ahead and put your right arm out. Here we go. So you see there's a little bit of a gap between the floor and the lower back. Now what we want to do is we want to close that gap. So what she will do is now she's going to draw her abs into the ground and the hips are tilting up a little bit. The glutes going to engage now, which is good. Again, we want to use the glutes. She's going to keep pressure against the ground. The rest of the body should be relaxed. Legs are relaxed, upper body, chest, arms are relaxed, and the breathing is relaxed. That's very important. When we engage our abs, we don't want to hold our breath. Of course, when you shut down your whole body and you don't have any flow. Here we go, do it a couple more times. Tuck your abs in. You see the hips tilting, glutes engaging. Very good. All right. Now let's show the same thing in a different position. If you want to get to your front, go ahead and turn around. We'll do an exercise called cat and camel, and here you can learn and practice yourself how you can engage your abs and tilt your hips at the same time. So this is the camel position right here for hollow back. Now she's gonna tuck her abs in up to the ceiling, tilting her hips. This is what we call the cat position. You see the hips are tilted, glutes are engaged. Come on back. And again, tuck your abs in towards the ceiling, hips are tilting underneath, and glutes are engaged. Very good. This will give you a good feeling on how to rotate your hips underneath you and how to use your abs. Now let's go ahead and do a plank. You all know about the plank, and a plank is a great exercise to practice that again. So what we want to make sure is that the upper body is in the same level as your midsection. So your hips shouldn't be up, shouldn't be down, it should be right in the middle. From here now, go ahead and engage your abs, tilt your hips a little bit underneath you. Here we go. So glutes are engaged again, abs are drawn up. You see this is flat, almost a little bit round, and that's where we want to be. We don't want the lower back to be sacking down, just like in the camel position. That puts a lot of pressure on your lower back. So learn how to be up, learn how to straighten it out, tilt your hips underneath you by tucking your abs in. All right, let me show you one more time on a different piece of equipment. We'll go over here to a wall, and Tina will be standing with her back towards the stand right here. Nope, the other side. Here we go. Feet against the wall right here. The bum against the wall, shoulder and head. Go ahead and put your arm forward a little bit. Here we go. Now you see we have a gap right here. Hold on. I have a gap right here. We want to close this gap. So what Tina's going to do is she's going to draw her abs in. And you see that? The gap is pretty much closed, which means her midsection was drawn back. Her hips are tilting a little bit. Glutes are engaged. This is a great position right here. Everything is connected. So now you can learn how to engage your abs and tilt your hips while in a standing up position. All right, good job. Now, how do we use this in a swing? We want to use this in your address position, okay? So Tina, if you come over here, why don't you just stand sideways right here? Go ahead and go the other way around, please. Here we go. Now go ahead and go into your address position. Now Tina is a beginning golfer, but we're gonna set her up in this position right here, maybe a little bit straighter legs. Here we go, good. So now you see there's a little bit of a sway back right here. Now what I want her to do is, again, tuck the abs in and tilt the hips a little bit more. Here we go, now you see there's a flat back. So what's happening now here is we're taking the pressure away from the lower back and we're actually transferring it to the front. Go ahead and go in the other position again, make a hollow back. Here we go. Where do you feel the pressure? Can you feel back here in your extensors? Now I'm touching those extensors back here. They're very hard. There's two muscles going down on the side. They're very hard. Those muscles right now holding up the upper body from falling over. So there's a lot of tension on those two little muscles. We want to take the tension away from back here and put it in the front where we're a lot stronger and also have the glutes help out. So go ahead and engage again, tilt a little bit more. So now if I go back here and I touch those two muscles, they're much flatter and looser, which means we took the pressure off the extensors, put the pressure in the front into your core as well as in the glutes. So that has many advantages. Go ahead and stand up. That has many advantages now. Number one, what we do is we connect our body again. Now if we're in this position right here, it's all connected. Now I can use my body as one unit again, which is what we want. Therefore you can keep your axis. Also, another advantage is that we're taking pressure off our lower back. Now you may know when you play 18 holes, after 12, 13, 14 holes, your lower back might get tired. It gets tired, of course, those two muscles back here can only handle so much pressure over so much time. So when they get tired, your swing will change. And we see that a lot of times, especially with amateurs and beginner players, that after 10, 12 holes, they got some weird shots coming out. A lot of time it has to do with extensors getting tired. If they're tired, they don't react for you anymore. And now all of a sudden your swing changes. Of course, you have to use different muscles to do the swing. So we want to keep a pressure off of that. And that even works for putting really well. So in your putting stroke, make sure tuck your abs in. Have a good connection right here, glutes are engaged, flat back, no more pressure on your back. Now you're creating a good base. Now you can really use your arms and shoulders as a pendulum for putting. You don't have to try to balance the whole time, of course everything is connected. Another thing that happens is, in this position, look at my spine. If I overdo it now, I have my bum sticking out, and I actually used to teach that bum out, right? So now I have a lot of angle in my spine right here, a lot of curvature. Now with curvature, what that does is, it puts a lot of pressure on the discs. If you imagine the discs right here, so if I have my vertebrae and the disc in between, this tilts my discs. If it tilts your disc and the disc is in between, now what happens is it puts a lot of pressure on, and that's when we get back problems. But also what happens is, if I have a crooked spine and I engage my abs and I come right here, now my spine is straight. A straight spine turns a lot easier than a crooked spine, which means you save a lot of energy, and it's also a lot easier to rotate, which means you get more range of motion. And that's very important, especially as we get older. If we get into our 50s or 60s, our vertebrae come closer and closer together, which means it reduces our rotation. And there we want to make sure we have a straight spine. It's much easier to turn, a lot less pressure on the spine and on the discs. So learn how to use your abs, engage them, do them throughout your workout with every single exercise. It will carry over into your swing, and we'll address that on the range as well. We're going to show you some good drills for that on the green. All right, I want to talk about power flow, the power of letting go. Now this is a term I came up with for lack of a better term. How can we let energy flow from our body into the object? For us, of course, it's a club head, subsequently the ball. We produce a lot of energy, and it's easy for us to produce a lot of energy. The question is, do we keep it in or do we release it? How much do we keep in? How much can we release? If you think about it, one of my young players, Shannon O'Bear, at 14 years old, 90 pounds, she was hitting at 240 yards. Now, how is that possible? She can only produce so much energy, but all that energy she produces, or at least a very high part of it, is released into the club and club head, and the club head transfers to the ball. So we're a lot stronger as guys, for example, but we can't hit it so much further, even though we might be able to produce twice as much energy as a little player like Shannon. So how can we learn to release that energy and let it go? Now what we have to understand is that we have to really relax and let our body work for you. Our body, if we let it, wants to go in a path of least resistance. But a lot of times we just come up with different things in our mind and we just make things harder than they really are or need to be. So we want to learn just to let go. Now you know very well how to do that. If you think about walking, when you walk, how easy it is to walk. It's very easy, right? You don't feel your body weight. You're not thinking about it. You learned to walk a long time ago, so it's very easy for you. You're content with it. You don't have to think about one foot going after another. You just let it happen. Now that's what we ideally want to do with our swing too. And you can do that. You probably have done it before. If you think about your best swing, your best drive, it's long, it's straight, it's just a beautiful drive. If I would ask you right after it, what happened? Could you tell me? You probably would answer, this was easy. I didn't feel anything. It was super easy, just beautiful. Well, that's what we want to find. That means that every muscle in your body did the right thing at the right time, in the right sequence, at the right volume. That's what we want to repeat every time. That's probably what brings you back to the sport. If you think about Annika or let's say Rory right now, those guys probably have that feeling maybe every other shot. I don't know. For us amateurs, maybe every 10th shot, every 20th shot, doesn't matter. If we have it every once in a while, it'll keep us bringing back to the sport. So how can we practice that? What we want to do is with every single exercise you do, you want to try to create that feeling. Let the forces flow through your body. Don't hold on to anything. Now, the problem is that we have always opposite muscles to on pretty much every joint. So if you think about it, we have an agonist and antagonist. And the main thing is that we learn to let go of the antagonist. So let me explain this. I'm going to do the old gun show right here. So if I do this right here, I have tension on my biceps, I have tension on my triceps. Now the tension is the same, which means my arm is not moving right now. I expend a lot of energy, but there is no movement. What happens if I let go of my triceps? My arm comes in. What happens if I let go of my biceps? My arm goes out. So those two muscles are working against each other if I let them. Or if I let go, I can just bring it in here. Only my biceps worked, my triceps let go. If I come out here, my bicep didn't pull against it, only my tricep worked for me. And that's what we want to learn. We want to learn to let go of the opposite muscle. Now, within the exercises, I will always refer to that when we go through a program. I want to show you, for example, a simple curl. So if I do a simple curl right here, I want to make sure I stay nice and relaxed and really loose. You see, I have a really loose grip right here. I keep that loose grip, and from here, I just twist and curl. And I come slowly back. I twist and curl. Now there's two ways for me to get the dumbbell from point A to point B. I can go the hard way, which means I grip it hard and just squeeze, 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 and come back down. Yes, the dumbbell went from point A to point B. But why not do it much easier? Distribute the load throughout your whole body, get help from your midsection and your glutes and your abs. So I really relax right here. From here, I draw my abs in, which means a lot of pressure is right here, not in my arm anymore, and I just curl. Same effect, a lot less energy, and it's nicely distributed through my body. Also, what it does now is I'm taking pressure away off my wrist, off my elbow, off my shoulder, which means it's much easier on the joints, which means the joints will stay healthier longer. So learn how to be relaxed, let your body flow, let your body move. Now this also works, let's say, doing the hammer curls. And here what we want to do is, we want to be dynamic. Why not use our legs if we have them? Our glutes, we're very strong, we want to use them. So if I do my hammer curls, why not get a little bit help right here and being dynamic? So I have a loose grip, and it only works when you have a loose grip. From here, I draw my abs in, and I just be dynamic. I use my legs, kick the weight up, full extension, and slowly back down. And back, nice and relaxed, kick it up, and slowly back down. So now I didn't really expend that much energy, at least my arms didn't. I distributed the load through my whole body, and I used my legs. One more good exercise for that, to feel that. It's a one-arm cable concentration curl. We'll do this exercise also in the other program. So what we do is from here, I'm straight and I have a really loose grip. Now there's two ways for me to get this handle from here to here, overcoming this load right here. So I can either squeeze my grip, be really hard in my arm, and just squeeze it in, and come back. Now my arm did all the work. It was 25 pounds, we're pulled just by my arms. Now what I can do is, again, I let it flow through here into my midsection and use my midsection. So I relax right here, draw my abs in, and curl it right in here, and slowly back. You see I have a loose grip, so I try not to use my arm. I let it flow through, and I'm actually feeling it quite a bit now in my abs, and I'm getting help from my midsection. All right? Just like that. What you can picture is, and a physicist would explain it that way, there's impulses traveling through your body as soon as you lift something. So if I lift this right here, if I put forces against this cable, there's impulses traveling through my body, picture like electricity traveling through your body. What we want to do is make sure we let it flow through. As soon as I grip it hard here, as soon as I tighten up my traps right here, it's like basically squeezing that flow. It's like a hose, and I squeeze the hose and water can't flow through anymore, and I can't use the rest of my body. So picture that. Energy needs to flow through your body in order to release it, and that's very important. So with every exercise we do, I will point it out, relax, let your body work for you, make it easy for you. And that's how you see people having really beautiful swings, nice rhythm. You never see the speed in the body, but the speed is in the club head, and that's where we want it. Think Ernie Els, very nice and smooth swing. Even Annika, very nice and smooth swing. And there, if you watch Annika in a clinic or so, and you see her hit, let's say a 9-iron, you see her hit a 4-wood or a driver, it's basically the same swing. It's all nice and relaxed, rotating around her axis, really letting go and releasing. So it's the same swing, it's just a little bit more angle and a little bit more speed, but it's all just one motion and really releasing that energy, getting rid of that energy where it needs to go, which is the club head. Learn how to let go.